This is it. This is where I am. Small, but cozy. We're making it work. Would you like to come in and see the inside? Okay, this is it. It has everything that you need. Chesterfield that opens up into the bed that my son, 6'2" son, sleeps on. It's just a 6-month park, and so that's when it's going to start to get a little crazier because the weather is starting to turn cold at night, and so it's really rough. Then all of a sudden the whole house, there was like a drop and another huge bang, and the house started to shimmy down. And I thought, well, maybe this is an earthquake or something. And my sister, who was like totally in a trance, she just sat there and watched everything fall off the walls and all the crystal out of the cabinets breaking. And she couldn't move because she's, in a wheelchair and so on. And the house had gone sideways over about 4 feet and then down 5 feet. So yeah, they had to come and lift my sister out and myself out of the house.
When I first saw the house, I didn't know what to think. There were cops and ambulances there, and I didn't really take in what fully happened, and it was really hard for me. I saw that my family was in the house, and that just shot worry all through my body, and I didn't know how to react to that.
What do you do when your mom calls you up and tells you that your house has fallen over? Like how do you respond to that? When you actually see the house, it's a different story. You actually realize how serious it is, and then finding out that my mom, my aunt were in the house when it all happened is scary. Because I remember my mom telling me that even the structural engineers that went there said, there's no reason, it does not make sense that the house did not collapse on my mom and my aunt. So life would have been really different if that had happened.
My aunt was also living with us, and she had cancer. It was hard for her to do the simplest things for herself, and pulling her out of that house after it fell was a scary thought, because she barely got out of there. And then after a few weeks, she passed away, and it was hard because my whole family came, and we were all there to see her go. And not only do we have to deal with the fact that the house is now gone, but now, I lose one of my family members essentially, and I was there to help her the whole way through. So it's hard to accept that so much bad can happen in such a little amount of time.
As a matter of fact, 1.5 years ago, one of my friends was having problem getting their insurance policy to cover something, and so I thought, well, I'm going to just call mine just to make sure, So I said, well, is my coverage enough? And they said, well, you've got the basic, maybe you should go to the enhanced. So I said, well, okay. We decided that I'd go with the enhanced, which was supposed to cover perils. But apparently there's 5 pages that cover perils and 17 that uncover them. So basically they have loopholes. And they found a loophole, and now they're not covering now because they're not covering the house, they're not covering the contents. Well, my contents in there are going to be totally destroyed. With the smell, the dampness, the animals, and I'm sure there's 1 million rats in there because I live right beside the river. All this has me very anxious, of course, because now the winter's coming. There's no money coming in other than my pension money, and that's got to be paying my mortgage that I have that I don't have a house for. And I still have to pay the insurance. They're still taking the insurance money out, and I still have
to pay them insurance even though they're denying you coverage.
They're taking it out, yes. It comes right out of my account. I've worked too hard. I've been like a single parent, and I've worked too hard to get to where I am. Well, I just give it up just because a failure of their system to cover what they said they'd cover, and they're not going to, for really no valid reason other than they're trying to find a loophole.
What would you have done if you didn't have family so close here?
Oh, it would be absolutely insane. I would be a wreck.
What if the person who was affected by this didn't have kids or didn't have family? Would my mom be on the streets? There's just no human element to this process. It's all mathematical. It's all about how can I squeeze every dollar? How can I maximize the amount of money that I get on a monthly basis from these people and minimize what we pay out? There's no consideration given for the situation and the circumstances you put people in who rely on the fact that insurance will pay out when catastrophes like this happen. It's not acceptable. And as a Canadian, I'm ashamed to say that this is happening in my country. We pride ourselves on equity and making sure that we take care of our common man. Anyone who's putting their effort out and doing their best to survive in this economic situation that we're in right now. And yet we allow insurance companies to take full advantage of people who don't have the means to defend themselves. So that's why we're making this video. There's no other financial way for us to represent ourselves when you're put up against an insurance company that has, billions of dollars to defend themselves. And then there's a senior citizen with a terminally ill sister, and then she's gone homeless. It doesn't make sense.
They just would like me to just run away, but I can't. And, I've been told by so many people, well, go bankrupt. Well, that's not going to prove anything to anybody. Why would I want to do that when I have a very good credit rating? I don't want to damage my credit rating. And anyway, that's not what life is all about. You work, you pay your bills to the best that you can. There again is my family. They've been so supportive and pushed me to do something like this when normally it's not my way. But when push comes to shove, it's like you don't go, you don't get, But I am a believer of giving. I have always been a giver, and it does come back to you in the long run.